Okay, we are going to go over how to add the elements that are required in the toy design for the packaging. So here's a sample of what we're going to do. I made my layers window pop out like this, and then I made the icons on my layers a little bit larger so that you could see them. If you ever want to do this for accessibility, you can go to your layers, the shortcut is F7, and you can click on this to this like paragraph line on the top right, and then you're going to scroll down until you see your panel options. So when you see your panel options, go to panel options and you can change the size of the thumbnail. This is the standard one that you're probably used to, but you can make it bigger. Okay, so you can actually make it a little bit bigger if you need to be able to see it more, your thumbnail images. Okay, so to start from the beginning in the home page in Photoshop, we're going to go to open and we're going to open the file that we downloaded. So we downloaded a template for the packaging tool. So I'm going to go find my template. There it is. And I'm going to open it. When you open it, it's going to say import PDF in Photoshop, and it's going to have a blue box around the first page, and it's going to be pages. All we want is the first page, so we're going to select pages and then 1, which is how it already is, and then everything else is fine, and we're going to click OK. Alright, so here's our new document. My thumbnail is bigger than yours, but you're going to have these little white corners around your thumbnail, and it's going to say layer 1. First thing we're going to do is we're going to select these two boxes with the quick selection tool. So I'm going to switch to the quick selection tool, and I'm going to click the top corner and drag down over those boxes in the middle, and then click and drag so that the front and the back white boxes are both selected. You'll see marching ants around them. Then I'm going to go to my layers panel. I'm going to go down to the bottom and make a new layer. You'll see layer 2, it's transparent. All I'm going to do is I'm going to add a mask. So I'm going to click down on the add layer mask button, and you're going to see a stencil mask where the black part is covering up, and it's paper clipped to a transparent layer that has nothing in it. So what I want to do is I want to draw on this, but I don't want to draw on the checkerboard on the back. I only want to draw on the template. So I don't want the mask is done, so it's selected right now. It has white corners around it. I don't want to work on it anymore. So I'm going to click on the other layer, and I'm going to select the layer thumbnail with the image layer that I want to draw on, and I'm going to draw. To draw, I can take my paintbrush, and I'll do right bracket to make my brush a little bit bigger so you can see it, and I can draw literally all the way across, and it will not draw, it'll cover up on the transparent background. So Control Z. Another thing I could do is I could take my paint bucket and I could fill it in, and it'll fill in just covered up where the mask is. Control Z. Another thing I could do is I could go into the paint bucket and use the gradient tool above it, and I can choose a gradient from the top bar, any of these gradients, blues or purples or anything that I want, and then click and drag and draw a line, and I can make a gradient for my background. So the gradients are lots of fun. You can open these folders and see what kind of background you might want for your gradient. Okay, so if you want to play with the gradients, purples, pinks, all this stuff. So you could have a gradient for your design. So some people want to add more to the background. You could add imagery, you can use your paintbrush, whatever you would like. If you want to add more, you may want to add a new layer on top, and maybe you want to add like a paintbrush where you're going to paint over, and then you realize, oh no, it paints over the background. So I'm going to hit Control Z to reduce that. If I want to copy this mask, I've already made it. All I have to do is hold down Alt, A-L-T on the keyboard, click on the mask, and drag and drop. And it will drop the mask to the layer above it. So now this next layer is also layer masked. Okay, so that's really helpful because now I can also draw on a new layer on top of my background, and it will still go like that. Okay. So you can copy a mask onto any layer by selecting the mask, holding down the Alt key, and dragging it onto another layer. Okay, So once you've made this, you've made it. Okay? So now let's go ahead and insert an image. I'm going to go to File, Place Embedded, and I am going to place this image, the JPEG image of the best friend project. So I'm going to hit place. Then I'm going to see a bounding box around the image. I need to resize it to fit. I'm going to put it on the back. This one is by Callie. I'm going to put it on the back. Try to use the guides to line it up so that it looks pretty good. When you're done, you have to press enter. One of the fancy things you can do is you can add some effects around this layer. If you double click, you can go to your layer styles and you can see one of the options is stroke. So I can add a border around this image by adding a stroke. See this nice border, and you can choose the border color. Right now it's set to like a blue color. You can choose the border color. My preview is kind of covering up, but you can change the opacity of you can change the color of the border. I can have like a green border. All right, so there it is. So you have a border around it. You can change the size and the thickness of it for the stroke. Okay, so that is stroke. You could also put a glow, like an outer glow or anything like that, or a drop shadow. So to get there, you're going to double left click on the layer, and it will go to the layer styles. Okay, so there's the picture. Now we're going to add text, and then I'm going to add another picture. So actually, let's add the other picture. So we're going to go to File, Place, Embedded. We also have an image of a 3D painting that someone did for fun. This is Derek's Among Us character. We're going to place this guy here. All right, so I am going to select, I'm going to leave it the way it is. I'll resize it in a minute. I'll tell you why. I'm going to leave it the way it is with this entire thing, the black background here. I'm going to press enter. And now I need to change this so that the background goes away because I don't want the background. So I'm going to mask the background just like I masked and stenciled out these areas. So I'm going to go on this right click on this layer and rasterize layer so that I can mask it. I'm going to select the Among Us image layer. I'm going to go to the object selection tool. At the top, it's right above the quick selection. It's object selection. And then I'm going to select, drag a box around the Among Us character and wait until it finds all the pixels and selects the Among Us character. Because it's on a solid background, it should work. And then all I have to do is make sure I'm on this layer, go all the way down to the bottom of the layers, and then hit Add Layer Mask. Now that's cut out. So now I'm going to select the image again, and I can resize the image to any size, Control T, that I want. So Control T, make it bigger, place it where you want it to be. You may have to move it, zoom out to see the box because the bounding box is still pretty big. But you can place it where you want, and then you can press enter. So it placed the image, and then you can move it where you would like it to be. Right, so we have a little image on the front. This is where your toy will go in the box. So if you want to glow around this image, same thing. We're going to double left click, just make sure you're on the layer. Double left click on this layer. And we go to the layer styles. I'm going to add an outer glow around and select. So I checked and selected outer glow. You can change the color of the glow. You can also change the noise and the opacity, like how much you can see through the glow, and the spread, how far it goes, and the size of the glow. So now this Among Us character and the quality and the range, there's all these little things you can play with on here for your glow. So you get a little preview of what it looks like. So I'm going to click OK. So now I have a little glowing Among Us character. All right, so those are the images. Let's go over the text. For text in Photoshop, you have less options than Illustrator, but we're going to use the horizontal type tool. We're going to click on it. We're going to use just this regular horizontal type tool. Put your cursor where you want to type the name up in the top corner. We're going to left click once, and we're going to get text. It's going to say Lorem Ipsum. Your text may be a lot smaller than this. All you have to do is select it, go up to the menu bar at the top, change it to 72 point, and it'll be pretty big. You can also change your font at the top to a font that you like better for the name of your toy. So you can choose a name and you can scroll all the way down and see which one you like. There's a whole bunch of fonts in here, so let's use this one. Alright, so now I'm going to double left click. You'll notice when you put your cursor over the text, it changes to a line to show you where you can select. Double left click on that line, you can select and you can delete, and you can type. So the name of the toy. So once you've typed the name, you can select it and you can go to the control bar at the top. You have an option for color, so you can change the color of the name. You have an option for movement. So first I'm going to select the move tool and I'm going to move the name to the center. Then I'm going to go back to the type tool, hover back over the name, select it, okay, and then I can change the warp text. So next to the color there's a T with a little arc under it. That will allow you to warp the text. So let's see, we can arc it, we can arc lower, so you can go through all these lists of different options for what you think might look good for your toy. That one's kind of fun, the fish one. That might work for someone who has a watery one. Inflate. Lower, upper, arch. I kind of like this name one. Okay. You can also adjust the bend. So if you want to play with it a little bit, you can adjust the distortion, the bend, all of that. And click OK. All right. So now you have text. There is a 3D text button. It may crash if you try to open it on some computers. So proceed carefully. If you want to create 3D from text, I don't recommend it on student laptops. But this should be fine. So we have plenty of options right here with text. We have 72. If 72 isn't big enough for your font, you can always delete in this text box and type in like 125 and press enter. And you should be able to do that when it is selected. Type in 125, press enter, and it will be bigger. And you can move it. If it's too big and you need to make it smaller, double left click it, make sure it's selected, and then go back and select or type in a smaller font size. For the paragraph, we're going to left click again, horizontal line where you want to start your paragraph, and we're going to start typing. Now this font we probably want to make a little bit smaller, maybe like 16. And then you can change the color so you can see it. Let's make it black, okay? And then you can press delete or backspace and then type a short story about your toy. Okay, so I'm going to move my layers so you can see. This is going off the page. So, alright, so it went off the page. So now what I need to do, let's zoom in, Control plus. So I wrote type a short story about your, and then it goes off. So I am going to find where I want to make a break in this line. So maybe about type a short story about, and then right after about I'm going to press enter. And then you're going to see that you're going to be able to start your next line. Right? My toy is part of a collection. Buy the whole set. Or that doesn't sound so good, so maybe you're like, collect the whole set. Okay? So you'll have to edit your font. So here we have all this stuff. So it's all selected. I'm still on the type tool. I can go up, I can change my font, I can change my size. I can also change my paragraph. So this is where these 3 paragraph lines come in handy on the control bar. It can be all on the right, it can be in the middle, which kind of looks kind of nice, or it could be all on the right. So I'm going to use my move tool, and then I'm going to select the text group as a whole, and then just drag it where I want it to be. Now we need to think about spacing. that looks good and where things are lined up. So make sure you consider that. But now we have basically all of the things that are required except for the barcode. The barcode you're going to get from the internet. So you're going to go to barcodegenerator.com and then you're going to place your barcode in here.